There is a passage every soul must face, a passage that cannot be bypassed, cannot be softened, cannot be reasoned away. It is a descent into darkness where meaning collapses, certainty vanishes, and the old self dissolves. Many call it despair, others call it loss, but the mystics gave it a name: the dark night of the soul. It is the place where prayers seem unanswered, where silence replaces comfort, where even the light feels absent. It feels like a curse, as if life itself has turned against you. But this is the illusion. The dark night is not punishment. It is not abandonment. It is not the end. It is the beginning of true awakening. It is the hidden blessing that strips away everything false so that the soul may finally see what is real. Part 1. Entering the night. The dark night does not arrive gently. It falls like a storm that no one predicts. One moment, life carries rhythm, structure, and meaning. The next, the familiar dissolves. The practices that once lifted the spirit grow hollow. The beliefs that once provided certainty feel fragile. The hopes that once gave direction fade like mist at dawn. At first, it feels like failure, as though something has gone wrong, as though one has slipped off the path. But the truth is the opposite. The dark night is not a detour. It is the path itself. Every soul that seeks truth must face the silence where old meaning dies. Every seeker must walk through the valley where illusions dissolve. The night arrives not to curse, but to prepare. Part 2. The collapse of illusions. The human self is built upon structures, identities, desires, expectations, borrowed beliefs. We cling to them because they give us stability. But stability is not the same as truth. The dark night tears away these fragile structures. What feels like collapse is the dismantling of illusion. What feels like loss is the unmasking of falsehood. What feels like abandonment is the removal of everything that was never real. This collapse is necessary because the false self cannot awaken. Illusion cannot stand in the presence of truth. To find what is eternal, all that is temporary must be surrendered. Part 3. Silence beyond silence. One of the sharpest pains of the dark night is silence. The comfort of divine presence seems gone. The prayers rise but do not return. The meditations echo only with emptiness. It feels like the sacred has departed. But silence is not absence. Silence is transformation. In the night, the soul is weaned from dependency on outer signs and inner reassurances. It learns to perceive presence beyond words, beyond feelings, beyond symbols. This silence is the threshold. It forces the soul into a deeper form of knowing, direct, raw, unmediated. The silence that once felt like void becomes fullness. The absence that once felt like exile becomes union. Part 4. Death without dying. The dark night is often described as death, but it is not the death of the body. It is the death of identity. The ego, the false self, the mask we mistake for I, it cannot survive the night. Every attachment is stripped. Every illusion is burned. The self we protected is dismantled. This is why the night feels so violent, because the mind clings to what is being dissolved. The ego fights for survival. It bargains, it protests, but the night does not yield. And yet, what dies is never the true self. Only the false self perishes. What is revealed is what has always been, the unshakable essence that no darkness can destroy. Thus, the dark night is not true death, but the unveiling of life that cannot die. Part 5. Fire as purification. The night is fire, fire that consumes, fire that purifies, fire that transforms. At first it seems cruel, everything familiar reduced to ash, but the ashes reveal what was hidden. Gold cannot be purified without fire. The soul cannot awaken without suffering. The false self burns away, but the essence remains untouched, indestructible. What feels like destruction is actually refinement. This is the hidden mercy of the dark night. It spares us from living imprisoned by lies. It frees us through fire. though the process feels like ruin. Part 6. The blessing of emptiness. In the dark night, emptiness overwhelms. Nothing satisfies. Nothing feels solid. The heart aches, the will falters, the mind despairs. Yet emptiness is not lack, it is space. Emptiness is the clearing of the inner room. It makes space for what is real. It teaches the soul to release the endless chase for validation, achievement, and control. The blessing of emptiness is freedom. It is the quiet discovery that nothing external can complete us, because the essence of truth already lives within. What once felt like void becomes vastness. What once felt unbearable becomes liberation. Part 7. Why it must be this way. Why must the path descend into such darkness? Because without the night, the spiritual journey becomes an extension of ego. We turn even enlightenment into possession, even truth into identity. The night ensures this cannot happen. It dismantles every illusion of control. It forces surrender. It strips away pride. It reveals that awakening is not something we achieve. It is what remains when achievement falls away. The dark night is not an obstacle to awakening. It is the initiation into it. Part 8. Emergence. Slowly, imperceptibly, the night begins to fade. What once felt endless gives way to dawn. The silence that once felt like exile now hums with presence. The emptiness that once felt unbearable now feels spacious. The self that emerges is not the self that entered. It is quieter, humbler, freer. It no longer clings to illusions. It no longer fears emptiness. It has discovered the presence that cannot be lost, the truth that cannot be shaken, the love that cannot be taken. This is the hidden blessing unveiled. The night was never a curse. It was the womb of transformation. The dark night of the soul isn't a curse. It is the secret mercy of the path. It strips us bare, not to destroy us, but to reveal us. It silences us, not to abandon us, but to teach us how to hear beyond sound. It empties us, not to punish us, but to make room for what is eternal. The blessing of the dark night is simple, yet profound. It returns us to what cannot be taken. It shows us the self that survives death, the truth that survives doubt, the light that survives darkness. The night may come with fire, it may come with silence, it may come with emptiness. But if we endure, we find that what we feared was the end was actually the beginning. The dark night of the soul is not a curse. It is the hidden blessing that awakens us to the truth of who we are.